Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host Jamie, and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. This is a mini episode, so it's going to be anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, and the theme of this episode is like creepy family dynamics. I know you guys love this topic and this theme, so I figured why not every time I see a creepy family dynamic. I'm also very intrigued by these because creepy families are just like so interesting and like why are you like that? So let's get right into the episode. All right, the title of the first story is Am I the Asshole for Calling Off My Wedding After My Fiance Bought a House with His Mom? Okay, so me, 28 female, and my fiance, 30 male, have been together for 5 years. We were planning our wedding for this fall and had been talking for years about our future, like kids, finances, and buying a house together. We had a whole plan to save up, find something we both loved, and make it our home. This was talked about a lot. Well, turns out he already bought a house, but not with me, with his mom, and he didn't even tell me he was looking. Apparently, she found the perfect place and convinced him to split it with her because she didn't want to rent anymore. So now, instead of us planning our future together, he's financially tied to his mother, who's going to be living there full time. I just stared at him like, WTF? And when I asked where I fit into all of this, he goes, Oh, well, you can move in too, of course. Like, I'm supposed to be thrilled to live in a house with his mom that she picked out, partially owns, and is just there all of the time. He also admitted he did it because I was taking too long to save, and his mom offered him a faster way to own something. I was so shocked and pissed. I told him I needed space. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized I can't marry someone who thinks that this is normal. So I called off the wedding. And now his whole family is blowing up my phone saying that I'm being dramatic, that it's just a house, and that I'm overreacting because we can still live together. Even my own parents are saying canceling the whole wedding is extreme. Like, am I losing my mind? Am I the asshole? Or is this a giant red flag? You're not losing your mind. And the fact that you guys are engaged and he didn't come to you about this and this is like you're just figuring this out that like he just bought this house with his mom is crazy, especially because that just shows that he's never going to take like your opinion or your say on anything into consideration. If he's not doing it now, he's not going to do it when you guys are married. Like it's not just going to all of a sudden become a thing. So I think that it's really, really annoying that he thinks that this is okay and also that this is normal and just thinks that it's fine that he didn't come to you about this, that he's just like, oh yeah, we bought a house and like you have to just deal with it. No, that's crazy. Also to say, oh, you can live there too, of course, obviously, as if that's not something that you would want to like ask because not everyone wants to live with their mother-in-law. I don't even want to live with my mother-in-law even though I don't have a mother-in-law, but my brothers my boyfriend's mom, like I love her, but I just don't want to live with anyone other than my boyfriend. I don't want to have roommates anymore. Like I just don't. I had roommates. I lived with my family. I lived with a bunch of roommates for years and years and years during college and after college, and that's just not the part of my life that I want to be in anymore, and I feel like I would be taking steps back and not saying that like that's the case for everyone. I'm not saying that if you do move in with your mom or whatever that you are taking steps back at all, but that's just how I feel, and I feel like I'm past that stage of my life. I don't want to live with roommates anymore. I had that. I went through that like it wasn't always the best experience. Sometimes it was and sometimes it wasn't, but like I don't want to live with someone else. So, please. And also like I have a family. I have 3 cats to take care of. That's like I don't want to live with other people. I think it's fine. Okay. Let's read some comments. He didn't just buy a house. He built a whole future with his mommy and left you out of it. That's not a mistake. It's a conscious decision to prioritize her over you. And the fact that he thought you'd just move in like a guest in a home his mother controls, disrespectful as hell. This isn't just a red flag, it's a parade of them. If you marry him, you're not getting a husband. You're signing up to be a third wheel in his codependent mommy-son fantasy. He's already made his choice, and it wasn't you. So do yourself a favor, pack your bags, block his family, and go find a man who actually sees you as his future, not a tenant in his mommy's house. Someone said, couldn't they just take the wedding date from you, OP? OP said, I wanted to say this so bad when his mom was calling me and saying I was selfish. She tried to say that she had picked out a bed frame and wallpaper for the master bedroom that she knew I would like. That's when I legitimately lost it. No, dude, that's insane. That's insane. Stop. Not you decorating my room. No thanks. Don't ever do that. Someone said, wait, on top of buying a house with his mom, he was letting her decorate what was supposed to be yours in his room. I'm so scared. Someone said, I could see her picking out the lingerie to conceive her grandchildren in. Ew, stop. That's so scary. Not here. This is for you guys to conceive my grandchildren in. That would be actually so insane. I'd be so scared. So scared. Oh my god. Okay, guys. The next story is truly, I'm confused about what's going on here. There are so many posts. The title of the story is My Parents Are Stalking Me Because God Told Them to. Hi, I'm 24 female and I live on my own out of my parents' house. I have a bit of a situationship going on with my friend. We'll call him David, 24 male. We had a fling a few months back and now it's kind of happening again. It started out just hanging out and enjoying David's company, then it slowly turned into more again. The thing is, my parents knew about the first fling. David used to be inseparable from my dad. They were like father and son in a way. Until David and I had our fling, and now my dad is trying to control him, telling him he is to have no contact with me outside of group chat we are all in. We think that this is stupid. A few weeks ago, we were hanging out, and we went to Five Below to get snacks and just hang out. While we were there, my parents walked in. They don't live in the same city as me. I live about 20 minutes away from them, and they just randomly showed up at the store right by my house. They claimed it was to find batteries. At that point, my dad confronted David and said that he told him not to be around me, and he told me he isn't going to care anymore and not to go crying to him when I get heartbroken. My mom texted me later saying it was totally the Holy Spirit revealing that something was happening so they can intervene. I'm kind of glad that happened because after David and I left, that opened up a conversation about what's going on between us. We both enjoy our company and we both have feelings for each other, but we are taking it slow. While we were talking, my dad is texting me 3-page essays on why I'm stupid for not doing as he says and that he is no longer invested. He told me David only wants me for one thing and doesn't care about me as much as he does. And that if David is in love with me, he'd ask for his permission to date his daughter and play by his rules. David told me he does really care about me and that it's a lie that he doesn't. Anyways, we decided to continue hanging out, especially since my dad said he no longer cares. We both have annual passes to Disneyland, so we decided to go together after work. While we were there, my mom and dad texted me asking if I was at Disneyland. I ignored their texts. We were there till closing, and as we were walking out, my dad walked up to us with a Starbucks bag and asked to talk. David kept walking and said no, and of course, me wanting to keep the peace, begged David to, and he said no. I told him I'm his ride, and he said he'd just get an Uber, and I told him no, so I just left my parents there, and I left. I cried in the car, and David told me it's not my fault. While I was in the car, I texted my mom how she knew I was there, and she said God is watching. And I asked again how she knew, and she said she'd meet me at my house and tell me, and I said no. You will not meet me at my house. That's weird, Mom. How did you know that I was at Disneyland? She stopped messaging me, and then my dad messaged me this. If you want to know how we knew you were there, you can talk to us in person. We brought peace and we tried to be loving, even though I knew David was doing stuff that he said he wouldn't do. I just want him to care for you as much as I do, and your mother does, but you're going to find out, honey, and it's really sad. He had every opportunity right there to confess his love for you and to ask us for space. We could have had a good discussion, but instead, he was a coward and ran away. From here on out, you are not to come to my home. We can meet in public to talk about how we knew you were at Disneyland because we had every intention of telling you, and that was going to be a part of the conversation. I've never lied to you, and I never will. I do not have anything to hide. That conversation could have been great, and we're still willing to have it, but sadly, David is not. I did nothing to I did nothing to him to deserve that treatment that we got from him, and I've never treated him any way other than I would treat a good son. I hope and I pray that he doesn't do what I know he's going to do. Wolves will come into the sheep, and they separate the sheep from the flock, and then they devour the sheep. But the good shepherd will protect you. And if David ever was a sheep, he will listen to the voice of God, the people that loved him and cherished him. I love you, and I wish nothing but the best for you. If you want to talk, we are willing to talk to you about anything you want to know. I responded with, Dad, I don't expect him to be in love with me. That's way too soon. And if you don't want to hide the truth, just explain how you knew I was there. I will not be meeting in person for a conversation that can be had over text. He then responded with, then don't meet with me. That is how it's going to come out because you need to see my demeanor and everything. And shame on you guys for trying to point the finger back at us. You guys are the ones that are not doing the right thing and hiding. Literally every box that was checked for you to like David was erased by David. All the things that you liked about him are now gone, and it was by David's own hand. From now on, do whatever you want. I'm cutting this pain off. I mean it. Don't come by my house because we will not be able to support your drama any longer. You're going to have to learn the hard way again. The only difference is now your mother and I are numb and we don't feel anything. God will show the truth. But I wanted to make sure you weren't hurt in the process. I don't care if I don't meet with them or not. I can't handle the helicopter parenting anymore. And I feel that anytime I have ever brought a boy home, my dad has to place himself in the middle, forcing the guy out. The guys that have been okay with it in the past end up not working out because of my fear that if my dad can control him now, my whole future will still be controlled by him. If I don't do it their way, then I'm doing it wrong. I really like David and he likes me. I'm 24 years old, and for once I have a guy that doesn't run away from me because of my crazily super involved parents. I don't know what to do. What I'm concerned about is how my parents followed me there and why. I just don't know what to do. Any advice is greatly appreciated. Thank you for reading as much as you did, and please, any suggestions would help because I feel so alone right now. Okay, I'm scared. It sounds like that sounds so sorry. That sounds like religious psychosis to me because why are you making it like so about that's so scary to me. I'm sorry. But when like people creepily say stuff like that, like the wolves will come in and then they'll eat the sheep. Like, why are you being me and this guy are just hanging out? Why are you being so crazy following us places, saying that being all weird and like controlling? Also, you're 24 years old. Like, I hate when parents are so overbearing when you're an adult and you're making your own decisions, especially because yes, of course, you want to protect your kids from stuff, but at a certain point, you have to let them make their own decisions and learn lessons themselves. Because if you're going to protect them or try to protect them from every single little thing that could happen, how are they going to grow up and learn how to deal with hard situations in life that are inevitably going to happen because that's just life? How are you going to teach them that? You're not. You're teaching them that nothing bad will ever happen to them because you will always be there. But that's not true. That is not true. Like, things will happen, bad things will happen. And it's so much more important to teach your kids how to deal with that than to try to protect them from it. And I get wanting to protect your kids. Trust me, like I get it. I mean, obviously I'm not a mother, but I can understand why you would want to protect your kids, but I think protecting your kids is different. Like that obviously if they're running up to a white van and someone says like, "Hey, we have candy in here." Yeah, protect your kids from that. But like this person is going to go through a heartbreak. Let your kid experience heartbreak. Let your kid understand what heartbreak feels like so that they can learn how to deal with hard things and how to deal with heartbreaks in the future. That's crazy though. I'm scared of that. Genuinely. Okay. Hi guys! Sorry to interrupt, but if you want extra content weekly, go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/storytime society. If you want to listen on Spotify because you're trying to fall asleep or you're driving, then head to the link in the description. And if you're there and you don't mind, please rate me 5 stars on there. It really helps with the algorithm. And then the last thing is we have a subreddit linked below. We have a lot of things linked below, but the subreddit, you can share any stories that you want to share. Okay, thanks. Love you guys. But there are updates, so of course we're going to read them. My parents are stalking me because God told them to. Update 1. I met with them today. My pastor and his wife had my back 100%. My dad told me how they found me. I guess I was still sharing my location with him on my phone through messages. He said God revealed that he still had my location. My parents then drove to my house to see if my car was there. Saw David's car there. We carpooled to Disney, then waited outside of Disney till we left. I told them that's freaking weird and that makes me uncomfortable. They said they did it out of love because they were concerned. Basically, my pastor and his wife are 100% behind my back regarding dating who I want, not letting my parents decide. I should have the opportunity to decide if I like the guy first one-on-one than bringing him to meet my parents. It's a little different because we have all known David for years, but still, I have the right to decide when my parents will be involved. My dad did not like this. He said that he'd leave the church and then blocked me on all of his social media. He said he can't stand around and wait for my heart to get broken, and the whole time he was trashing on David. He called me a few names that were extremely hurtful, and I was glad to see the pastor had my back. They told me I am no longer under his roof. I'm not doing anything wrong. The conversation ended with my dad claiming he wanted to go no contact, which I'm sure he won't follow through on. It sucks. I love my parents, but in my dad's eyes, if he can't have control over this aspect, I don't get him at all. And that's probably how it's going to be for a while. Thank you guys. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Pastor. I'm so happy about that. Okay, we're going to read the next update. My parents stalked me because God told them to. Update 2. Well, I didn't think I'd be here again. If anyone saw my original post back near November, I think that has the whole context backstory of it. But long story short, the guy I was seeing, we decided to just be friends, and he is honestly my best friend. I was sad about it though, and I told my dad that me and him were done in that regard, and he actually acted like a dad and comforted me. It was nice. My dad slowly came back into contact with me and him, and things felt like they were going back to normal until I got a text from my friend telling me my dad was blowing up his phone, saying he hated him for stealing his daughter's virginity, which is not what happened. I am a 24-year-old female living completely independent with no help from my family. I mean, I don't need to tell my dad about my sex life. It isn't his business. I already lost my V card, but he doesn't need to know that again. It's not his business. I said something though because he kept accusing my friend of stealing it. So I texted my dad, and this was the text exchange. I am now completely no contact. That was his second chance, and after everything I've been through, he will not be getting another chance. Okay, this is the text exchange. OP said, Daniel didn't take my virginity. What the hell is wrong with you? I never told you I slept with him. I never told you I had sex with him. All I said was it could lead to a pregnancy the way things were going. I never once said I slept with him. Stop whatever crazy tirade you're doing because you hate him for taking my virginity when you don't even know. This is disrespectful to me. You are speaking like this about me. You are hurt. This is hurting my feelings a lot more, thinking my dad thinks that I'm a whore. And going off more on Daniel is by no means going to help the situations. Ignore him and leave him alone. Imagine how my dad is now that while I'm at work, I randomly get a text that my dad thinks Daniel stole my virginity. It makes me feel dirty that you are even speaking to someone about my virginity. It's not of any of your concern, and it's between me and God. You don't know, nor will you ever know who takes my virginity or not, and that is not for you to decide, other than me when I'm ready and married. Talking to Daniel about this stuff isn't going to make him magically want me. It's going to push him away even more. You need to literally stop and just vent your feelings somewhere else. I don't want to be in a position again where I'm choosing between people. Stop being like this. And then the dad said, the conversation I'm having with him is between us. I'm only saying what hurt me and your mother, and we should be able to share that with Daniel. This part is none of your business. If you don't like it, you don't have to be around me or your mom. Trying to make things right with Daniel to restore everything, and that involves truth. Otherwise, I will go right back to where we were, which is not having a relationship with you guys until you are ready to get right. You threatened me and your mom, acting like we were begging you to come back to church, but that is not the truth. The truth is we were letting you guys cook. From your responses to me, clearly, you are not done. If you want to run off and do what you want to do, go for it. It's going to be hurtful and painful out there. It's literally none of my concern at this point, and everything I said to Daniel was supposed to be between me and him. And it was solely focused on how he hurt me and your mother and how to get back to where he was with us. Nothing to do with you. I only read your first text, and I will read the rest when I have time. OP said, do not discuss my virginity. He didn't take my virginity. I don't care what you think or assume. He didn't take my virginity, and don't claim that he did. Then the dad said, do not tell me what to discuss. My assumption was he did take it, and that hurt me as a father, especially from him who I trusted. Believe it or not, I have my own feelings, and in order for me to get right with him, I have to express the feelings that I have. Don't tell me to stuff my feelings. OP said, you don't have any right to discuss my body, virginity, or anything. That is me. Dad said, when you're ready to talk to me as your father, then we will talk. Otherwise, don't text me anymore. OP said, you can talk about me as a daughter, not someone's sex toy. Dad said, the reason why I'm saying that is because you're bringing fire instead of actually trying to understand my perspective. That's not what I was doing, if you read my text. And then OP said, "You're telling Daniel you hated him in the moment because he stole my virginity. Forgive and forget and move on. He didn't steal my virginity. He didn't take it. I didn't give it to him. Your perspective is wrong." Dad said, "These are my exact words, and this is the last time I will share with you what I'm speaking to him in private." OP said, "I don't care what the rest of your stuff you think. That part of you is very wrong." And then OP's dad attaches screenshots of his messages with Daniel. So he said, oh my God. Dad said to Daniel, Proverbs 28:13, "He who covers his sins will not prosper, but whoever confesses and forsakes them will have mercy." I hated you after you turned your back on my peace that I offered you at Disneyland, and I hated you even more when you took my daughter's virginity without committing to her. The Bible says that if I hate another, I have committed murder, and so I confessed to the Lord my sins, and he forgave me and encouraged me to love you, even though you took something from me that was one of the most important things that my daughter had, and that I wanted to give to her husband. You also did it under my nose, and I called you son. I'm sorry that I hated you. I also called you a coward, but you're not a coward. I choose to believe that you were just afraid and you are still afraid to make things right with me. There's a big difference between cowards and being afraid. I feel sorry for you, and your fear takes over and cripples you. You must, through Christ, overcome this giant because it has the OP writes a note here. That is all. I'll show because it drones on. Oh, okay. Back to OP's text conversation with her dad. OP said, "I don't need to see anything else. He didn't take my virginity. So if you want to actually fully restore that relationship, make sure you don't accuse people of something they didn't do." Dad said, "Then don't bother me if you don't care. Fine, I'll never speak to him again. I don't want you around me either because you bring drama into my life. I will not be responding anymore because you don't want to care about your mother and I. All you care about is your own selfish ambitions. Goodbye." And then OP said, "I don't need to see anything else," meaning I just want to make sure I'm not being slandered. Accusing someone of taking my virginity is a big thing, Dad. I do care, meaning I don't need to see the rest of the private conversation between you and him. Dad said, "I mean it. Don't come around me and don't speak with me anymore. I'm done with you. You are partially to blame for the loss of Daniel in my life, and he is the other half of it. I don't want to see you or him. I'm done being kind to your stupid ways. You can come back with me right now with fire, but just know that I don't care anymore, and that was the last straw." Guys, I'm scared. Not that I wanted to save my daughter's virginity for her husband. Are you okay? That is not your decision to make, sir. I'm like, this Bible talk gives me PTSD. Not because my dad was like this at all, but just growing up in that community and always having those things like spewed at you and just like, oh my God, believing that like don't have sex before marriage or you're literally gonna burn in hell. I was like, just like to be terrified of things as like a small girl, like just a small child, and I'm like 12 years old, and people are like, don't have sex or you will die and go to hell, and the devil will punish you for eternity. Like, that is so traumatizing, and that's literally like how I grew up. It's like, that's what was preached at every church, and regardless of if they say it like that, it's spewed in different words each time. And then to like just to fight with like, God told me this, or God's word says this, or like, I don't know, that stuff to me is so far beyond crazy that I can't even. And just to put your nose in your daughter's business about her virginity and her sex life when she's a 24-year-old woman who, if she wants, can have sex before marriage if she wants, and you don't need to know that business. You don't need to know that, and you do not need to try to control her in that way. I'm genuinely so scared that it's like he is in psychosis. I believe that. And that's the type of like stuff that I'm talking about. Like, I don't obviously think all Christians are like this, but I've come across so many Christians that are this extreme to the point where it's genuinely like I'm fearing for my life, because the way that you talk and the way that you act, like you are like a prophet of some sort, and you're perfect, and you're like, I can't believe, oh my God, I can't get into it. I can't right now because it's just too much. But that's crazy. That's crazy. That was so much. That's honestly traumatizing. Like, I feel so bad for this girl. And I hope that she, like, by separating herself from her parents, she can learn how to be her own human being and have her own thoughts and learn. by herself what is right and wrong to her and what her values are. Because to be told all of that stuff by your parents and to be made out to be some kind of demon because you slept with someone when it's like a regular human thing that humans do, and to each their own. If that's what you want, if you want to save yourself for marriage, that is totally fine. But to shame someone, especially your own daughter, and to be not only fighting with your daughter about it, but fighting with the person that you think took her virginity about it, saying, like, I can't believe you did this and I hated you for it. Like, I'm so scared that you think that you have that kind of like control over adults, to think that you can be saying this stuff. That's crazy to me and scary. I'm so scared. Guys, please, please let me know what you think. Please let me know what you think about that. Obviously, that was like the more juicy story of the two that we talked about. And the first one was like, it was honestly child's play in comparison to that last story that we just read. That's just like, oh my God, that makes me lose so much hope. And it just makes me so sad for people like that, because also for him to be like, by the way, I don't care. Every single time he's like, I don't care anymore. I'm not going to care anymore. But he just keeps coming back and caring more and more and more and like putting himself in this situation more and more. He's like, you bring drama into my life. The only person bringing drama is you, Dad. You are the dramatic one. You are being so insane, like quoting Bible quotes to this guy that I was just talking to and I was just like dating with, and you're following us around and stalking us and harassing us. Like, that's insane behavior. That's crazy, crazy behavior. And the fact that the mom is like supporting that, I'm so concerned for that. So thank God OP got away from that, and thank God she's no contact, because that's manipulation. That is manipulation and just abusive behavior at its finest. Scary behavior. And I'm sure growing up in that family was not easy, especially now that she's independent from that family and this is still how they're acting. Lord have mercy on their souls. I can't with that. And I'm not even going to get into it because the amount of times I talk about religious stuff, you guys know how I feel. You guys know how I feel. And I don't think that's right. I don't think any of that's right by any means. And I don't think that it's okay to excuse that behavior on God and being Christian. Like, to me, that's just a sad, sad excuse to be abusing someone. And I don't think that's okay. And then they're just going to hide behind, oh, they're religious. No, I'm not trying to, I'm never trying to be disrespectful to the like Christian religion, but that is just not okay. You cannot hide behind the facade of being a religious person to treat someone like shit, and your own daughter at that. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. But anyways, that's all for today. That's all for today. That's all I can handle. I'm like genuinely traumatized after reading that story. So let me know what you guys think, please. I literally need to know your guys' thoughts on that. And that was so much. That was so much. But I love you guys, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.